Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy, Big Christy, Compton Animator, and I'm here to give you another WWE Raw review. So tonight I'm reviewing WWE Raw for April 28th, 2014. So let's get into the show. So before I get into this WWE Raw review, I want to talk about Scooby-Doo Mysteries. Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery. I watched this over the weekend. It came out, I think, before WrestleMania or after WrestleMania happened, and I thought it was a pretty chill movie. Basically with about Scooby-Doo and the gang meeting the WWE characters, like you've probably seen some other Scooby-Doo stuff before. It's basically like a parody of everything that Scooby-Doo does. Not a parody, but like another episode of Scooby Doo type thing, just a movie type of way. I thought it was pretty good. I came into it thinking I was going to be very mediocre, very bad, but I thought it was pretty good. Especially as an animator myself, you look at certain things in animation and you look for what's good and what's bad and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty good. The animation was good. So if you're an animation fan, if you're a Scooby Doo fan, if you're a wrestling fan, I think you should go at least rent it and check it out. I thought it was pretty chill for what it was. So yeah, check out Scooby Doo WrestleMania Mysteries. I thought it was pretty chill. So let's get into my WWE review. So reviewing Raw. So you get John Cena, who comes out first, and Cena comes out and he goes into talking to the WWE audience, and he basically says, he's asking them why did they put him in that match that they put him in last week, and he's kind of pissed off about it. Saying he feels that the WWE crowd doesn't really like him anymore, and he's questioning why would they put him in that type of match. He feels that time has changed, and he feels that he's changed and they've changed and stuff, and he just kind of sulking in front of the crowd, saying everything that he feels about everything that's been going on as far as the whole thing with Bray Wyatt and more people kind of seeming to join onto the side of Bray Wyatt and stuff. Then you get Cena, who's talking about how he's there to fight for the WWE, and he's been fighting for the WWE for the past 10 years, and it's talking about his history and stuff. And then he says that you got newcomers that are coming up like Daniel Bryan and Cesaro, and the NXT guys like Sane and Neville, who are coming up, who want to fight for the WWE as well. But guys like Bray Wyatt just want to destroy, and he doesn't understand why people are going with the whole Bray Wyatt stuff. So then, he goes into more stuff about the future of the WWE, and he ends that, and he also talks about how he's been the good guy for a while, and it's kind of seeming like the whole Batman thing and from Dark Knight that you live long enough to be if you're the good guy, I forget how it goes. You live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Good guys live long enough to see themselves become the villain type thing. So he's the good guy. He's been there for 10 years, and he's kind of becoming a villain after all that time. So which is kind of weird when you think about it, because it actually has happened. But yeah, so you get Cena, who's getting to that, and he's kind of getting emotional with the crowd and stuff. And then Bray Wyatt's little screen thing hits, yeah, and you get a kid start singing the "You Got the Whole World in His Hands" thing, and then you get a whole group of kids that start singing it, and then you see it, and it's a whole choir of kids singing it. So you get Bray Wyatt, who's walking down the stage, and he's just walking, singing a song, and he tells the kids to come on with him. And they all start going, and he takes a seat, and the kids start crowding around the ring. And then you all see them all with masks on. And they start, you hear Bray Wyatt starts laughing, and you just see the kids with the lamb mask on. And you go back to Bray Wyatt, and he has one of the kids in his lap, and he's just laughing hysterical here. And they go back to John Cena, and John Cena's like, "What the fuck was that?" I really like this segment a lot. I like the John Cena part of it. I thought that the way he pressed it, kind of seemingly like, I don't understand what's going on with you guys. I've done nothing but good for you. And then the way you get Bray Wyatt, who has a group of fucking kids behind him singing his, little chant right now. And then you get them with the lamb mask going. You get one in his lap, and he's just laughing, which is kind of like a creepy little sight in itself. And I just really did like this segment. I really liked everything about it, so I thought it was pretty good. So next you get the Usos versus Rybacksu in a match for the tag team titles. And this match was pretty chill. You get the Usos and Rybacksu start, going back and forth at the beginning. They jump out of the ring onto Rybacksu, and one of the Usos hurts his leg in the process. Then the other Uso has to fight both guys while the other Uso's getting checked out by the trainers, and he has to fight Rybacksu by himself. And he basically does an okay job here trying to, hold them off. The other Uso finally gets on top of the apron, and you get the one who's been in there fighting still going at it. He gets on top of the ropes, and Ryback's getting ready to go for a double super power bomb, or whatever you call it, or double superplex, and he ends up reversing it and knocking both guys off onto each other. And then he ends up tagging in the other Uso with the hurt leg. He gets in, he gets a little bit of offense in, back and forth here, hot tag and stuff. And he ends up getting a big splash, Samoan splash onto Curtis Axel after Curtis Axel hits the perfect plex onto the other Uso, and this all happened after a blind tag. So I thought this match was pretty chill. The Usos end up keep continuing on with the tag team titles, and now they didn't win. How do you say it? They won the match, and they keep their titles from winning the match. So I thought it was a pretty chill match. The only thing I'm kind of curious about right now is whether or not they're going to do anything with the titles at Extreme Rules, because they had the title match basically on this show. So and they didn't really do anything else with the show with Ryback. So and it's something else happening with Ryback. So at SmackDown. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen with the tag team titles coming up from here. So after that, you get Titus O'Neil, who's Titus O'Neil. You get Sheamus, who's walking out, and Titus O'Neil ends up attacking him from behind, and then you get Titus, who is just beating the shit out of him onto the ramp, and finally gets him into the ring, and the ref is trying to get Titus to back off so he can start the match. Sheamus goes ahead with the start, and Titus just goes ham and just starts fucking him up in the corner. The ref backs him off again, and Sheamus just explodes out with a bro kick, pins Titus, and picks up the win, and even kept himself looking hurt here. And another thing I really liked here, Titus looked very good here. He still played this whole, I'm furious character, especially coming off of the stuff that happened at main event. I really did like that here. And then you also get Sheamus, who kind of, the guy who's even getting his, even though he's getting fucked up, just give him the perfect timing. He can land that bro kick and whoop your ass with it. So, I really did like this segment here. Next, you get a segment that dragged the whole show down. Ziggler comes out, introduces the X-Men movie trailer. Then he introduces Hugh Jackman, a.k.a. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman comes out, interacts with the crowd, interacts with Ziggler. They apologize to each other for the whole thing that happened to them on the last time Hugh Jackman was on the Raw, with him hitting Ziggler in the face and breaking his jaw, and Ziggler being heelish to him. And then this happens. So you get Damian Sandow, who comes out dressed as Magneto, and he berates them, tries to do powers, ends up getting mic thrown at him, hip tossed, zigzagged. They celebrate, and Sandow's looking like a fucking idiot here. I usually don't get pissed off at the comedy segments, just for the reason that, I understand what they are. But this was fucking horrible. I think this is probably one of the worst comedy segments I've seen WWE do. It was really, really bad. It almost took me out of the whole show, to tell the truth. And, I don't understand what they're doing with Sandow, man. Like, this is some type of shit that I would have, said, no, I'm not doing that. You can fire me. Fuck it. I'm not about to go out there and make an ass of myself. Because, where do you go with your character from here? That's the whole point of it. I don't have a problem with them making fun and stuff, or having fun with something, but, where do you go with Sandow from here? Especially from doing a joke like this, because people are going to remember this. Believe me, so they will. You probably can try to bring him back a year from now or something. You have Big Show come back, but, Sandow doesn't have the rep that Big Show had coming in. So, I don't fucking understand this. And to me, this is probably worse than some of the shit TNA's been doing recently. But this is WWE one segment to TNA's like 6 or 7 fucking shows of bad shit. So yeah, this was fucking horrible, really bad. So I'd like to go to something else before I go to this. So early, I mean, pretty little bit later on in the night, you get John Cena who walks past Renee. Renee tries to ask him a question. He just keeps walking. Um, let's see. I got some notes somewhere else. Here it is. So then you get Renee who finally gets Cena to talk, and here it is. So you get Renee who finally gets Cena to talk, and he basically comes out and he says that he's kind of over the whole thing right now, and he realizes the crowd is just they can get hyped up if they want to be, and they can get into him if they want to be, and he just needs to break the message at Extreme Rules. And then he talks about how he's scared of Bray, but he's not, and he's just scared that his message is going to go over. That's the basic thing. And he basically says he's going to fuck Bray up and kick him in the mouth and put his foot in his ass. He kind of drives at comedy here after he had a kind of a serious tone earlier in the night, but I guess Cena had to be Cena, and weirdly he got a crowd pop from this, so it worked, I guess, especially to get people on his side as the babyface. So I guess it worked. I mean, even though I didn't really want him to go comedy, but it did work. So next you got Paul Heyman, who was backstage with Cesaro, and Cesaro basically asked Heyman about, the stuff that Rob Van Dam said about Heyman being a crook, and Heyman basically goes, yeah, I am a crook, I am a bad guy, but I do get my guys to the top of the industry, and they do become some of the greatest wrestlers there is. So, he basically tells him that. And then you get your next segment, which was Heyman coming out, and he basically comes out to a to a boo, how do you say this? To a sound of boos. And okay, so Heyman comes out to a sound of boos, and then he tries to get cheers, and the crowd doesn't do it. He basically goes, okay, let's try this again, and they boo him even fucking louder. So then he goes, you know what? My family thinks I'm funny, so why don't I tell you a joke? So he goes into telling this joke, and he goes basically, knock knock, who's there? Mike who? My my client Brock Lesnar beat the streak. I got a kick out of this, and it kind of brought me back from the whole shit that happened with John Cena. Not John Cena, with Damien Sandow. And I'm ready to piss on John Cena. That's how much it is in my mind. But the shit that happened with Damien Sandow, it kind of took me away from it a very little bit. But I thought this was pretty good, and just him introducing Cesaro and stuff like that. And he did a very good job of doing that. So next you get your match with Cesaro versus Jack Swagger. And what I thought was a pretty chill match for a quick match here. They both had a lot of back and forth offense. Cesaro did have a majority of the offense here. And you end up getting Zeb Coulter, who grabs on Cesaro's leg, and Paul Heyman sees it, then goes to attack Zeb and basically starts pulling his fucking his mustache back, the whiskers back, and just like pulling the shit out of him, which I thought I had a little kick out of. And then he just Cesaro ends up doing a suplex I think it's a German suplex it's called, onto Jack Swagger, and end up pinning him, and Cesaro picks up the win. But what I wanted to say about the Damien Sandow stuff, and let me get back to that for a quick second, is that this whole show, I'll come back to that afterwards, because it'll be good to end this whole thing on that. So next you get a match with Cody Rhodes versus Alberto Del Rio. And you get Cody Rhodes, who tries to, how do you call this? Come in the ring and do his stuff and try to, say what's up to his brother or whatever when his brother tried to exit the ring, and ends up eating a kick from Alberto Del Rio, doing a hellish move. Alberto Del Rio just hitting him with the kick. And then they get into a match. They have a pretty average, mediocre type match. It ends up with Cody Rhodes getting into the armbar and tapping out Alberto Del Rio to pick up the win for there, and then Cody Rhodes getting pissed off again at his brother Goldust and just walking away. It was very mediocre to say the least. So after that, you get Xavier Woods, who comes out and he's in a match versus Alexander Rusev. You get Lana, who's looking as hot as always, introduces Rusev. And they have a really quick match. Xavier Woods gets a little bit of offense, but Rusev still beats the shit out of him basically and tries to get him into the Alkalite. R-Truth gets in there, hits a heelish type move, and basically hits Rusev so he can let go of Xavier Woods. And Xavier kicks him on the rope, and they have a stare down. Just another mediocre thing. I did like that it, put a little bit towards these guys fighting on the Extreme Rules card, but it really wasn't nothing more than that. After that, you get 3MB versus Los Matadors. They have a match. 3MB actually pick up a win here. The Bull and Hornswoggle have a little confrontation on the outside. You learn that they're going to have a kickoff show match. The Hornswoggle and El Torito are going to have a kickoff show match, and it's going to be some weird named match or whatever. And you get 3MB who actually picks up the win here, and El Torito does a dive thing on the outside. This was another very mediocre comedy segment. So this is when the show actually starts to pick up. Okay, where am I at? Okay, so you get Stephanie McMahon, who comes out and she says that she's sorry for what happened to Daniel Bryan, and she asks for Daniel Bryan to come out. He comes out, and you get him who's just standing there very pissed off, and you get Brie Bella, who starts chanting yes and just keep going yes, yes, yes for him, and just getting the crowd to chant yes. And I'm just surprised that Daniel Bryan has come back. Just the whole thing of his father dying. If I had that type of love for my father, you would not see me back right now, especially to a show where you gotta actually act. But you go into Daniel Bryan cutting a really good promo after Stephanie goes and starts talking to him and saying, I'm sorry for what happened to you, and what did she say? I'm sorry for what happened to you, and it was kind of some crap with what happened. And you get Daniel Bryan, who gets on the mic and basically says, you're full of crap and you're not sorry, and let's see, and he's pissed about everything that's happened. He's pissed about Stephanie McMahon doing all this stuff while his wife is there. He's pissed about having his head dunk into a water and Stephanie going to drown him, and his wife having to watch that type of stuff. And he's pissed about all the things that happened to him. And I kind of wanted him to talk about him being pissed that they didn't let Brie come out there and cheer with him at WrestleMania. That would have been a really good thing for him to be mad about. And I'm kind of mad that they didn't add that to there. But what he said was very good. So you get Stephanie McMahon, who kind of goes back and starts saying, oh well, I'm really am sorry, and she starts saying that she feels sorry for Brie. She understands what it's like to have a husband wrestle and go through all that stuff. And then Steph starts talking about how she didn't want Daniel Bryan to be in this position, and she understands that what she did to him was fucked up. So now she wants to kind of give him a little bit of payback. And Daniel Bryan goes, you're still full of crap. And she starts talking about Kane and everything, and it's basically, she says that she's sorry about what Kane did. Daniel Bryan said he's going to fuck Kane up at Extreme Rules and take him to hell. So then you get Steph, who says she has a plan, and she wants Daniel Bryan to come to the ring. He doesn't want to come to the ring, so she says, okay, how about this? I give Brie Bella a title match for the night, and this is kind of my peace offering to you guys. And they accept, but he says he has to come down there with Brie. So you end up getting Daniel Bryan down there, and Brie Bella's happy as fuck about this. And then you get Paige to come out, and her and Bree start having a match. And I felt that this was a pretty chill Divas match. Ever since Paige has been back, the other Divas have kind of been on their P's and Q's. They've been actually wrestling pretty chill, and Paige actually makes Brie Bella work here. She wasn't really good or anything, but she was better than she usually is here, and you could tell that she actually, like we've been saying for her for a while, that she's actually been trying her best to, get this stuff and get it right. So you get them to have a match and a lot of back and forth between both girls. Paige was very vicious here. She ends up hitting the perfect plex onto Brie Bella, and Brie Bella ends up reversing, doing some moves on her, and then out of nowhere, um, Brie Bella ends up getting onto the top of the rope. They start getting a little bit back and forth on the rope, and Paige ends up hitting a superplex or whatever you call this move onto Brie Bella, and the crowd goes wild for this, and they actually get a good chant out of this. And you get Kane, who comes out from the ring while Brie Bella's on the ground from this. And I really did like this. I really thought the match was fun. I thought this was the perfect way to end the match. And he comes out of the ring. He comes out from under the ring and just basically crawls to the ring. At first, when you look at this, you kind of feel, especially if you know what happened on TNA a few months back about Abyss coming out from under the ring, you kind of feel, oh, they're hashing this out again. But the way they play it off, the way it's kind of him coming out trying to drag Brie under there, was very good. And you get Daniel Bryan, who gets in the ring and starts trying to fight off Kane. Kane ends up throwing him off, and Kane gets up and he's really trying to get at Brie now. So Daniel Bryan goes under the ring, gets a monkey wrench, and just bangs the shot at Kane's head with this wrench. Kane is down. Daniel Bryan starts helping out Brie. Kane sits up, Daniel Bryan tries to go back at him. He hits Daniel Bryan with a choke slam, and Kane tries to re-drag Brie under again, but she ends up fighting it off and trying to get out. So they're trying to get out the ring, and Kane does his pyro and scares them both. And I thought this was a really good segment. I thought the Stephanie McMahon stuff was really good. I thought Daniel Bryan's promo against Stephanie was very good. The things that he was saying, you really believed him, and just the combination of everything that's been going on with him and adding his wife to the mix is a very good idea, especially, him not having to be out there alone after all these things happening with him and his father dying. So, I thought that was very good. And then everything that was happening with Kane, I thought did very well. It's still hard for me to believe that Kane is a monster right now. But, this is bringing me on to, further thinking, okay, there is something here with Kane. So next you get Bad News Barrett, who's on top of his little Titantron thing, or whatever you call that motherfucker. And he's standing on top of that thing, and he raises on his podium. He already has his ring gear on, and he says that he's going to beat up Rob Van Dam. And he says Rob Van Dam thinks he's going to beat him up. So earlier in the night, you had a promo with Rob Van Dam. Go to the picture. So you had a promo with Rob Van Dam backstage with Renee, and Van Dam basically talked about how he got some bad news for Bray Wyatt, and that he's going to beat Bray Wyatt up and win the whole Intercontinental tournament thing. And so you get Rob Van Dam back there with the promo, and then you get Zeb Coulter, who comes and tries to interact with him, saying, okay, we both have common enemies in Cesaro, and we need to join up to fight him. Rob Van Dam says, nah, man, I do my own thing. And he says he doesn't want to join up with him. And this dude sounds like a high hippie the whole time. And I just laughed my ass off from this. But going back to what I was talking about, you get Bad News Barrett on his podium. He basically says, I got some bad news for Rob Van Dam. You know how the WWE slogan is then, now, and forever? Well, Rob Van Dam is then. And his slogan... Rob Van Dam's slogan should be then, and says that Bray Wyatt, says that Rob Van Dam was last. He's basically saying Rob Van Dam is an old motherfucker, and he's going to beat him up and become the new Intercontinental Champion, and that Rob Van Dam was last relevant when he was in when Bad News Barrett was in Pampers, and he's going to beat the shit out of Rob Van Dam now, bust his mouth open so he have to drink through the straw and beat him up so much that he'll be shitting in Pampers again. So that's hard to get out right there. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty okay promo from Bad News Barrett, and it led into a match where you get Bad News Barrett versus Rob Van Dam, and the match started off pretty slow at the beginning, but once Bad News Barrett hits a kick onto Rob Van Dam on a rope, and just this kick that echoed throughout the whole arena, and you heard it very good, and the arena popped from this, and so they started getting a little bit better in this match, and it starts getting just played out a little bit more. So they're doing their moves back and forth, and you get Cesaro who comes out to the ring, and he tries to distract Rob Van Dam or tries to get at him. And you get Swagger who comes and pull him off the ring ropes, and Barrett who takes that and ends up towards the end hitting a bullhammer onto Rob Van Dam and finishing and picking up the win and actually winning the whole tournament and getting the chance to face Big E at Extreme Rules for the IC title. So after that you get Cesaro, who's getting beat up by Swagger. Swagger ends up getting kicked by Rob Van Dam. And then Rob Van Dam does a 5-star fall pass on to Cesaro. And you get Rob Van Dam, who's kind of happy about this, but still pissed off that he lost the tournament. And Cesaro is just looking fucked up in the ring. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go from this. Maybe end up being a triple threat match at Extreme Rules between these three guys. So I'm interested to see where they go. So next you get the Shield, who's backstage, and let's see if I'm forgetting anything before I go into this. So no, I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Okay, nope. So so you get the Shield, who's backstage, and the way they were set up backstage looked very good, and I like the whole kind of like scenery that they had with these three guys in the hallway. I don't have a picture of it, but with these three guys in the hallway, and they basically say that they're the new definition of power, and that Evolution basically is these three guys who dress up in suits and think that this whole fashion statement that they have is power, but it's really not. They said the Evolution is hiding behind the glitz and the glamour, and they go on to say all that is fake and they will destroy Evolution. So and they basically holding the fist out and they're saying that's the new definition of power. And I really did like their promo that they did back there. So next you get Evolution, who comes out to the ring. You get them on the mic, and they start basically Triple H starts saying that he was impressed by what happened with the Shield on SmackDown and them beating up on 11 guys. Makes like 12 the guys, and he says that it's good to see the Shield do that, but there still will never be Evolution, and they'll still never be able to beat them. In that Evolution is going to win at Extreme Rules, and they're either going to adapt or perish. And then you get the Shield, who actually finally comes out and have a big stare down with Evolution, and the match you're ready to get is Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. And before that can happen, woo! Ric Flair comes to the ring. And you get Ric Flair, who comes out there looking dapper as ever. And he basically comes out and Flair hypes up the crowd, talking about himself. And he hugs, the whole Evolution guys, and talks about, how he ran the whole world and ran St. Louis and everywhere else with the Four Horsemen, and did the same thing with Evolution. And that back in their day, they was the power, they was, the best thing around. And then he goes into saying, where am I at? Then he goes into saying now the new definition of power type thing, kind of going the same thing the shit was saying, the new guys, the new, the stylish guys, the new, pretty boys. And he just kind of says something like that. The new guys that are in there is now the Shield, and he endorses the Shield here. I liked his promo here from him. I liked what he did. I would have loved to see Evolution beat the shit out of him after he endorses the Shield. I thought that would have been very good, especially after he shakes their fucking hands. Instead of them just mean mugging him. I would have loved to see that. But that's all you got for Ric Flair for tonight. And I thought it was okay for what it was. They probably just didn't want him getting his old ass whipped. But yeah. So you go into your match with Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns, and they put on a pretty chill match here. Both guys worked very well together. Randy Orton, a cocky son of a bitch that he is, and Roman Reigns, a cocky son of a bitch in his own right. And they did what they needed to do, hit their little spots here and there, and then you get Evolution and Shield that just start breaking down into a big ass brawl. Roman Reigns ends up beating down on to Randy Orton in the ring before he can get outside and try to help his guys out. And Evolution just starts beating the shot of Shield at this section, and they end up getting him on the ground and start beating him up, throw him back into the ring, and start going further with the ass whooping. And out of nowhere, Seth Rollins hits a flying knee off the top rope onto Triple H, and ends up getting the Evolution off the Shield. And you get Roman Reigns, who sets up and ends up hitting Triple H with the spear. They're getting ready to hit him with the triple power bomb, but Evolution comes in with chairs and get Triple H out of the ring, and you get a big ass stare down with the Shield, and the Shield staring down with Evolution, and that's how you end the show. So, as far as this show goes tonight, this is what I was gonna say earlier, but this is a show of up and downs, most definitely. You had the Shield stuff and Evolution I thought was very good. It was basically a very good inning, a very good start. That second hour was horrible. Bray Wyatt stuff was very good. But once that whole Damien Sandow and Hugh Jackman segment happened, it dropped the show down dramatically. And anything that happened during that whole section, I wasn't into at all. Even the stuff that I did kind of like wasn't really bringing me back, like the stuff with Paul Heyman. It wasn't really bringing me back. I just still had the whole Damien Sandow thing in my head, and almost wanted to turn the fucking show off at a point. Especially during that. After that happened, I just wanted to go on to something else. But it did bring me back, especially with the whole Daniel Bryan segment, and I ended up liking the show overall. Now, for my grade, I would have to go a B minus, like a very heavy B minus, almost to just a regular C. I thought the show, like I said, the beginning and the end, like those 2 hours there was really good, but that second hour really dragged the show, and this goes to show you why the show does need to be 2 hours long, because it takes less of a chance for them to fuck up that way, and for them to push things on like that. Or at least 2 hours and a half long. It doesn't. That once it gets to that third hour, it really does fuck this whole setting up. So yeah, I would give it a B minus. I thought the show was pretty good for the other stuff it had. I thought it was an okay go home show. It was just that second hour that really fucked it up. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe. It's another long fucking video. Sorry. Hit me up in the Hit me up in all my links that I have. Yeah, thank you for watching, man. Peace.